Hi, good afternoon. This is Vicky Eiddaug. Welcome, everybody. I can't see who's here. I only see that there are 6 people online. So if you want to write your name down into the chat, that would be great. Then I would know who's here, or just say hello. Nobody's awake. All right, so I'm here today to talk about the funding that we provide for the Inuit Post-Secondary Education Program. And this funding is offered in partnership with ITK and Indigenous Services Canada. Hi, Catherine. So yes, if you've just joined us, just please say hello in the chat box so I know who's here. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the details, but first of all, I just want to tell you where this funding sort of came from. And it's a national strategy. Hi, Salima, and hi, Thea. So this funding has come from the federal government and through ITK. And they have 4 main areas of action that the funding is supposed to provide. So first of all, we are to increase direct financial support for Inuit students. That's number 1. Also, increase indirect supports. Oh, hi, Killenik High School. Hello, Alana. So we're also here to increase indirect supports and things like one-on-one counseling, academic training, some health, motivational issues, tutoring. There's all kinds of indirect supports. Also, another one of the main areas is to have community engagement. And we're going to be starting with that kind of thing once this COVID stuff is all over. And then nationally, this program, we meet nationally and we share our best practices and we share our program issues and we share our strategies together nationally. And that is how this session came to be today, was through the national organization. So there are some values with this strategy, that it is Inuit driven and it's student centered. And also that there's equitable access for Inuit students, regardless of where you live. So whether you live in Nunavut, whether you live in Winnipeg, Saskatoon, no matter where you live. My slide didn't change on the main screen, or am I just behind? And also that this is an Inuit specific process. I can see my screen, but I think it didn't change yet. So I'm not talking because I cannot see that my screen is changing. Okay, that's where I'm going to follow. Okay, sorry about that. So this National Inuit Post-Secondary Education funding, who qualifies for this? Well, it is Inuit right from across Canada. The people that I look after are Inuit that are registered in the Kitikmeot region. You need to be registered in a full or a part-time program at a recognized academic institution that is at least 1 academic year. And we will take you right through to your doctorate if you need it. So if you start with the bachelor's for 4 years, we'll fund you. You go on to a master's, we'll fund you. You go on to your doctorate, we gotcha, all the way. So as I said, this funding is right across Canada for all the Inuit Nunangat, so the entire homeland. And ours is, of course, Nunavut. And we work in partnership with the other regional Inuit associations. So we work in partnership with Kivalliq Inuit Association and QIA, and their funding arms. All right, so we have a 10-year agreement with ISC and ITK to deliver this program for the Kitikmeot beneficiaries. Here's a little bit of my contact info, but I will give it to you again. And if you do have any questions as we're going on, please just write them in the chat box and I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, so what does this funding provide for you? We provide financial and non-financial supports to our beneficiaries, okay, so that you can complete your post-secondary goals. What we're trying to do is help eliminate the gap that is Canada-wide between Inuit and non-Inuit post-secondary education grad rates, okay? And by having you students participate, we're one step closer to these goals. Now you see me doing this presentation and I'm not Inuit. However, I am a mother of 4 Inuit children, and in about a week or two, I'm going to be a grandma. And so I am personally very vested in education and training. And I've been living in the North since the late 80s, so I'm here and I'm completely invested in making things better for my children and for you. So what are the statistics? Hi, Rhonda and the students from Joe Haven. So what are the stats? So if you take a look at the screen I have right now, high school diplomas, only 15.9% of Inuit have a high school diploma. And you can see as compared to First Nations, Métis, and non-Aboriginal, we're way behind for now, okay? And that's something that needs to change. You people in high school, you grade 11s and 12s, it's so important that you finish your school. So important. 35.6% of Inuit have a post-secondary certificate, diploma, or degree. 64.7% of non-Inuit. More First Nations and more Métis have post-secondary education than Inuit. This funding is to bridge that gap and to get those numbers up. And we're here to help you do it, financially and non-financially. So why do you even care about getting a post-secondary education? Well, do you know people, Canadians with post-secondary education, actually live healthier lives, more rounded lives. You're actually more engaged in your community. You have a better paying job. And of course, greater job security. So it's very important to be contributing to society. And of course, the extra money always helps. So I put together a map where are Kitikmeot Inuit studying. So right now I'm working with 78 students, and this is where everybody's located. Okay, so we have people coast to coast to coast. We have some people in Whitehorse, down in BC, we're at Vancouver, we're at Camosun College, we're at Okanagan College, Alberta, we're at MacEwan, Nate, Sate, Athabasca. Over in Ontario, we've got the Nunavut Sivuniksavut students at Algonquin. We have Niagara College. And then way over in the east, we've got St. Yves, in Nova Scotia and Dalhousie, as well as the one in Sackville, New Brunswick. So you can see your fellow students are coast to coast to coast. We'll fund you anywhere. So what are your fellow Inuit studying from the Kitikmeot? Well, all kinds of things. Bachelor's in Business Admin, Bachelor in Science, Master's in Public Health, Arctic Ministry in Iqaluit, Civil Engineering. We have students taking welding, students taking HR Management, the law program in Iqaluit, Environmental Tech. We have people taking baking and pastry arts management. We have somebody studying to be a doctor in naturopathic medicine. We have a lot of social workers, a lot of counselors, a lot of office administration, computer information systems. We have some housing maintainers. So really, we have people in all areas, from health to trades to higher academics. So how are you going to access these funds that we have? So first of all, you have to apply to a university or a college, a recognized post-secondary institution, and you have to be accepted. We're not going to fund you if you're not accepted. If you live in Nunavut or Northwest Territories, you actually must apply to the FANS, the Financial Assistance for Nunavut Students, or the ALTS, which is the Adult Learning and Training Services, or the Student Financial Assistance, which is in the NWT. You need to apply to them first because they have more money than us. I mean, bottom line. We will top you up and we'll cover whatever, things they don't cover, but we work in partnership with them so that the money actually goes further, and therefore we can help far more students. So you contact me for the application or fill it out online and send it to me, and I'm your direct contact after everything else. I will email you that I've received your documents. I will let you know if I'm missing any documents. I will phone you. I will send you some, well, not too many jokes, but I'll send you good news, but I'll be in touch with you regularly. So the one thing to know is if you send me an application, I don't reply to you, I didn't get it. Okay? I will always reply immediately, acknowledging that I've received your document so you know you're in the system. So if you send me anything and you don't hear from me within a day or two, you send it again or you give me a call, because that means I didn't get it. All right, so the way that we break down our funding in this region, and each region breaks their funding down differently. We have different categories than the other regions might have. So we fund things like tuition, student fees, your books, school supplies, tutoring, travel. We give you a living allowance. We fund rent. We provide a rent subsidy, and we provide childcare. So let's go into detail with each of these. So tuition and fees, we do not want you to have debt. So if you qualify only for a loan from SFA, let's say, or only for a loan from Alberta Student Aid, we don't want you to access that loan. We want to cover you instead so that you do not have to worry about paying it back. We'll cover full-time student tuition. We also cover tuition if you're a part-time student. Okay. Some universities charge a variety of fees. I've heard of, I see all kinds of things: recreation fee, a financial literacy fee, a technology fee, mental health and wellness fee. So on and on. We will fund those. A lot of those fees are only 75 cents or $1.25. The incidental fee might be 64 cents. They're very weird small amounts, but they all add up. And if you receive 100% of funding from your FANs or your ALTs or the student financial assistance, we will not duplicate. Okay, but if your tuition fees are 14,000 and you're only getting 8,000 from FANs, we will cover the other 6,000. So that's what you need to know. You need to apply to both of us and we will cover you fully as much as we can with your eligibility. Any questions on tuition and fees? Okay, textbooks and mandatory school supplies. Definitely we're going to provide funding for your textbooks that are required. If you're in a hairdressing program and you require you can't use a sewing scissors to cut hair, then we would provide you with the funds to cover those necessary mandatory supplies. Okay? If another agency is funding you, we're not going to duplicate, but we'll top you up. Now, I know lots of you are probably thinking, well, a computer is a necessary supply. Well, it is and it isn't. So that isn't necessarily a specific item that we're going to support under this category. Travel. If you need to relocate to go to your institution, we will get you there and we'll get you home, as well as your family members. If you have dependents and a spouse, we will also look after them. I do have one question, Alana Simons. If you're not Inuk, can you receive this funding? No, not this. Sorry, Alana, this is only for beneficiaries. So we will pay your travel to and from your institution. We don't provide day-to-day travel like gas money or anything like that. We provide a relocation travel for you and your family. And again, we won't duplicate this if another agency is funding. Catherine, you asked if the funding is going to continue over the next 10 years. Right now, the agreement is for 10 years. And of course, we're hoping it's going to go on and on after that. But yes, it will continue for the next 10 years. Well, 9 actually, because we're already in year 2. Okay, our living allowance. Nope, not only during the pandemic, Catherine. This is going on for the next 9 years. So we provide a living allowance to cover your food, your clothing, your groceries, telephone, entertainment, gas, all those types of things. And our living allowance is based on a family size. Okay, so if you're a single student and you're staying in a residence, we're paying for your residence and your meals. In addition to that, you'll get $800 a month. If you're a single married student with no children, the maximum we provide is $1,463 per month. And then it goes up depending on your number of dependents. Okay, so example, if FANS is funding you, they fund a single student at $1,032 a month for living allowance. We will top you up to our maximum of $1,463. So we'll pay you an additional $400 and some every month so that you are reaching our maximum. Okay, it isn't our maximum on top of their maximum. We've increased the living allowance to help you cover things like your internet, your cell phone, you know, some entertainment, those types of things. So that is why our living allowance is actually quite a bit higher than FANS. So if you're already getting FANS or SFA, you can be sure we'll be able to top you up. If you're staying in residence, we'll pay your residence fees, and it can be with or without meals, okay? And we'll cover that. And that's separate from your living allowance. If you're staying in a private rental, we'll cover your rent to a maximum of $1,000. Of course, we need all kinds of paperwork and documents to prove that you're actually renting. You can be renting from your parents. And as long as we have a document signed by them and yourself, we accept it. And every month, I'm pretty fussy about it, but every month I do want your paperwork. And if you don't get it to me, I'll remind you nicely, always with a smile. Childcare, we provide childcare support. So your children that are with you, okay? If you decide to go to school and leave your children at home, that's a different story, okay? But children who are with you will definitely provide some support for daycare, private sitter, okay? We don't provide any payments to spouses looking after children. And we won't duplicate if you're receiving a subsidy from another agency. For our program funding, there are some costs that are not eligible, okay? So we don't provide living allowances for spouses. If your spouse is traveling with you to school, we're sort of expecting the spouse will find some part-time work or is looking after the children or is, you know, going to find a way to keep themselves supported. We don't provide money for damage deposits or any property damage or rental of furniture or vehicles or anything like that. At this time, we don't provide excess baggage fees either, or any kind of loss, any kind of insurance. So this strategy is national. And there are we're only in the second year of it. And all we're providing right now is direct funding. Starting April 1st, we're going to be working on providing other supports. And these are things like local and community activities, academic readiness, support, wraparound services, outreach, navigation services to get to your new location, life skills, mentoring, guidance. So these are some future areas that we are working on providing supports. Another big one is the community engagement, and that's coming up. It's going to be great. Right now, I can do sessions with the schools through Zoom, but it would be so much better if I could actually go to the school and be available, for example, in Cambridge Bay, one day every 2 weeks, one day a week. I sit at the school. I provide some post-secondary guidance. We go online. We look at some universities and colleges and programs, and I help you with that. And so that's what we're working towards once this COVID is all finished. And then going into the communities to do the same thing. It's so important to meet with students, and it's also important to meet with your families to help your families understand the support that you need while you're going to school and how they can help you and encourage you. So these are some upcoming directions that we're working on that we're very excited about. And then nationally, this organization, this 2-day virtual gathering is made possible nationally because of the strategy. And it's such a great beginning for all of us to talk to each other and all of you to talk to your fellow students. Okay, there's how to reach me. Take a screenshot and I respond very quickly because I am a designated person. So my only responsibility, my only job is to provide funding to Inuit students attending post-secondary. So I am very quick to respond. Do you have any other questions? Thank you, Michelle, for answering Catherine's questions. So Salima wrote, Selena wrote that, yes, we do have different offerings than the Kivalliq, and the Qikiqtaaluk region also has different offerings. Salima, I can't really speak to why the funding is different. You would have to talk to your Inuit association as to why they're offering what they offer. Devin, okay, should something happen and you can't continue your studies, are you required to repay the funds? That is a great question. So Devin, if you pass your first semester and everything is great and you decide in January that you don't want to continue, you're free and clear. And in January you say, okay, I'm not able to continue. And we would say, okay, you're not able to continue. You have passed your first semester. You've passed all your courses. You've met all your obligations. You're free and clear with that money. There's no repayment required. But then, Devin, if you are in your second semester and 2 months into it, you start failing everything and you start missing school and you get terminated from your program, that's a different story. So if you're terminated from your program, then there is an obligation to repay. And that is in the contribution agreement that you sign. I do send you an agreement. I do ask you to read it carefully, and I am available to go over all the issues. As long as you are doing your best and making every effort, we are there. When should they apply? Okay, Alana, we don't actually have a deadline date. So I accept applications anytime. So if you know now that you're applying for school in September, you have already registered for school and you have a conditional acceptance, you can start applying with me. Okay? You can start applying with me anytime. No money is going to change hands. We're not going to start releasing funds until all the paperwork is complete and the documents are in. But as far as your application and me paying attention to you and communicating with you about what you need, The sooner you do that, the better it is. So seriously, this year was our first year. I had somebody apply for funding in March, beginning of March. They're done their program in May, and they only found out about us in the end of February, March. And the fellow said, well, is it even worth it? And I said, oh, it is, because we're going to top up your fans for sure. We're going to pay your rent. So even if you only get 3 months of funding because you applied late, it's still worth it. Okay. So we don't have a deadline, and in future, we might, but at this point, we don't. From the moment but don't expect your money or your approval in a week. We need at least 3 weeks to confirm whether you can be approved for funding. And the slides, Rhonda, I can send them to you after, or you can download them, I believe, right now off the screen if technically you're able to do so. If not, put in your email address and I'll send them to you. Does the funding change if you have a part-time job in school? No, it does not. No, we're not going to penalize you for having a part-time job after school weekends or whatever. No. We gotcha. Any other questions? Thanks for your email, Rhonda. I'll send you the information. So I'm located at the KIA building on the first floor in the Career Services Division. We don't just provide funding here. We also have a career center where you can come and you can learn how to work on your resume. We have computers available. You can search different colleges and universities. You can access even some upgrading programs if you want to come in and maybe work on your math or your reading or your English, well, whatever. We have also all kinds of supports. We also have job board here. So, and all the organizations in the region looking for work, we have job boards that we update regularly. We have a service officer, Kathleen Hokanuk, and she's there to work with you on the computers, give you information. And there's Nicole McSagic and Michelle Buchan. So there's 4 of us, and we're here to get people employed, get people educated, and to Nunavut shaken. You don't need to make any appointments. You can just come by. Do you have any other questions? Michelle, yes, Rhonda said she was online with the students. I see your note there. But they're having technical difficulties, Michelle, so she's kind of been on and off. Well, thank you so much for coming to listen to my session today. We hope that you access this funding. Very much looking forward to working with all of you. Kuyanami, have a great day.